tonight we're just going to be going over some of these fonts we have throughout our library. Now, these could just be basic fonts that are already preloaded. The Rhinestone fonts obviously would come more from us, but more of not just how the fonts work, but how we can start designing just based around a lot of fonts. So we have a couple examples we'll go through tonight, and at any point if you guys have any questions, just let me know, and I can go over those questions, or I can repeat anything that's needed as well. All right, so we have a couple examples here. We'll go ahead and start with our Lions varsity football. Now this one's not too complicated. The fonts we're using in this design are already created, so when you see the football laces in here, that's one of the special HTV fonts that we've created. Now I'll show you well too. As you know, we have a lot of these. We call them knockout fonts because where this white is, that's going to be your T-shirt showing through. So we have them pre-created for you, but I'll also show you how to create your own if you wanted to as well. Now, once you create your own, it's not going to necessarily save as a font, so you would have to recreate it, but it's still possible. So we'll go ahead and start with our Lions design here. Move those laces over. So all we're going to do first is write out Lions. We're going to come to our find font area, and we're going to type TRW and football. So that's going to show me my different football fonts. So we're going to use the KO2 laces. Now we have just one version here, and we also have our players here. So what I'll do is I'll show you how to create some designs like this too, in case you don't want to purchase the font. Now the font's going to make it a lot easier, and it's always going to be like the same, but I'll show you, again, how we can create these by ourselves too. Hey Jesse, welcome. Alright, so we'll do the TRW Football KO2, and this is the laces. So anytime we're working with a two-color font, and a good way to know this up top here is you'll see the font preview. So you'll see how lowercase is going to be the outside, and then our upper is going to be the inside. So even if we're not working out of Corel, we're still able to use our fonts in other software. So like the Lions font here, all I have to do with the design wizard is come up top here and hit the number 2. And that's going to automatically fill the text with the second fill color. So it's going to know exactly to place that there. Now, if I did it the opposite way, so let's say I typed in all uppercase, you'll see the fill already there. So if I hit the 2 in this case, it's just going to put the outside colors there for me. So it doesn't matter if I type an upper or lowercase. It's just going to hit the 2, and then it's going to add that second color for you. So we had a question, would that look good with the same text Cardinals? So like a longer mascot. So it will still work. Now the only thing is when I type Cardinals out, you'll see that it's, if I have them the same width, the Cardinals text is going to be a lot smaller. So you can type it out whatever you want. Usually, yeah, it's definitely, if it's a few letters instead, 5, I can make that a lot bigger. And it's going to, stand out a little bit nicer. But you could always use whatever text you wanted. So at this point, we can change any of the colors we want. So we'll just make these blue and gold. Now what I want to do at this point is I want to replace my O with my lion's head. So I'm going to select, right now my font is still in the font form and I want it that way. So all I have to do at this point is hit the B. That's going to break it apart. Now I will have to do that for each color. So you can see how all my gold, each letter is individual. So we just want to repeat that with the blue as well. So I'm going to select my blue, click the B, and now each one of these is broken into its own piece. So I'm going to highlight the O and just hit delete. Now I'm going to go to my add artwork. I'm going to search my lions. And the lion head I'm pulling here is from our mascot line template pack. It's mini pack volume 2, or you can purchase the entire pack and you'll get them all. If you're just looking for a line, that's from volume 2. To make the O go away, I just deleted that out. So I just hit the delete key. I just highlighted and hit delete, and that got rid of the O for me. So I'm just going to take my lion's head, and I'm just going to place it right here in the middle. Kind of size that up if needed. It looks pretty good. And we'll just make that our same color to match. Now right now this just has a boundary around the outside. That's why you see that white. So we'll eventually subtract that through our other text when we get this cut ready. All right, so at this point, this is pretty much the base of our design. Gary, I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'll have to check with the call center. Yeah. Just if I'll check with the call center tomorrow. Let me write that down real quick and see if they found the issue on that. So from here, all we need to do now is just set up any text we want. So this is going to be our main base. Now the next part I can set up as a live template, and then I can use this design for any sport or event for this lion school. So I'm going to just type in varsity football. Go ahead and pick the font I want to use. So I'm just going to place that right here. Now this is one of my favorite text tools. It's going to be the text spacing. So right here on our edit tab, you'll see our text spacing tool. So I'm going to click my text spacing tool right here, and you'll see these little arrows come up. So one of the arrows is going down, this one's going over to the right. So I'm going to pull this one all the way across my text, and that's just going to space all my text out just like that. Now once I have that spaced, I'm going to go to my text effects. I'm going to hit apply, and now this part has become a live template. So now when I hit find text, let's go ahead and get rid of this one here. So I'll see varsity football. Now I can change that to soccer. Baseball. In just a couple seconds I can, I guess, good point. Yeah, with this one with the laces, we would stick it to football. But we have the laces for all the other sports too, so we could create the same design. So I guess on this one, yeah, we'll stick with baseball. But we don't even need varsity in there. We could just write out football. So let's get find text. We could do mom of number 23. anything we wanted to do to customize this. Now that it's set up as a live template, we have complete control over it. All right. So with these kind of knockout designs, as long as we have clip art and we can, we have videos of tracing, different sports players and like that, so we can always create our own, or we sell the vector packs already ready to go with different sports figures, so we can use those as well. But with this, we could go ahead and do lions, and I always like to use a sports font. So a college, we have our sports block, so that's going to look really well too. But something a little bit more bolder, even the impact font would work okay. So I'm going to write out my lines text. Again, I'm going to go to my text spacing tool. I'm going to click the TS. And I'm just going to pull these letters apart just a little bit because I'm going to add this outline. So if it's too close, some of those outlines will touch. So I'm just going to move them out just a little bit, and then I can move them back in if needed. So to create that outline, let's go ahead and go to our live template editor again. I'm going to come down to my magic boundary, and I'm going to set this to about 0.15. Now I don't have remove shapes. I'm going to select the contour, but I don't want the remove shapes behind. And what that's going to do is just add that contour for me just around the outside. Click it one more time. Actually, let's go a little bit less. Let's do 0.1. And you'll see that outline right there. So I'm going to select that outline I just created. Click it one more time. That's going to give me my third outline, or my second outline, third color. And then once I have that set up, I'm just going to select my red, hold shift, select my blue, and come up here and do a back minus front. And that gives me that separated look that you see here. Now once I have that set up, now I can go ahead and add my clip art. So if I wanted to stick with football, I could go to my Tier W Live Decal and Clip Art Mega Pack. Go football. And then I have all these different football players that I can use throughout my design. So let's go ahead, we'll select our quarterback. And then it's just lining these up, different players and different letters, to see how they'll kind of look. Let's make this a little bit grayer so we can see. So we want to just find a letter that it's going to, when I hover over it, this player is going to, you're going to see a lot of this player throughout that letter. So like in our N here, I can set this player about right here. Now once I do that, I can select my football player, hold shift, and select my N. And before I do that, let's go ahead and break apart all my letters again. So that's going to be the B. So now I can just select the N. So I'm going to select the N, hold shift, select my football player, and then just like we did the other day, we're going to do an intersect. So when I do the intersect, anywhere that player was overlapping my N, it's going to show up just like that. So now, let's go ahead and move this to a new page just so I can use my boundary tool. Because once I do that, any live text on that page will get converted to curves. So I don't want to do that. So I have my football player right here. I'm going to come here to remove shapes behind. I'm going to keep this contour checked, and I'm going to hit magic boundary. So let's go make this a little bit smaller. Let's go 0.06, magic boundary, and now that's cut out of my N, and I can hold shift and weld it to my outside. So then I would go back to add artwork, go find my next player. Now I could do an entire, let's say I had Lions and I just wanted to do a lot of different sports. I could do like Lions athletics, and I could pick a basketball player too. Put him over the eye. Select the back. Select intersect. Just select that section. We're going to change it a different color. Magic boundary. And then again, just weld that. If I wanted to keep the O, the lion's head, that's already welded, so I'd manually just delete this O out. Again, I would just size this up. And then we would just pick our next two sports. So we grab a baseball player. Let's see. Grab a pitcher. So I select the pitcher, select the black behind it, intersect, select that area, change the color, select my player, magic boundary, and then it's just a weld. So one more. Soccer player on this one, and we'll just throw him right here. So that's going to be the intersect again, magic boundary, and then a weld. And our last part, I could spell out athletics, impact font, text spacing, pull that all the way across. And I could just weld it to my second color. Alright, so now, just like that, we can create, our own looking. Now, we're not going to be able to save these as fonts, but anytime you have these players like this, or any sport or any activity, we can easily create our own looking. They're not exactly fonts, but we're gonna use the fonts to create these type of designs. So, any questions on any of our lions designs? So the next one we'll do here is working with a little bit of rhinestones. So this is one I just made completely using our own Rhinestone fonts. So this one here, we're just going to type out this. And so once I have that set up, I'm going to go ahead and center my text. And then I'm going to go ahead and size this up. Now, what we want to do first is the text where it says this and where's is actually an adjustable font. So it's a Rhinestone font that we can size. We can make it the size you see here. I can make it 10 inches wide. I can make it 20 inches wide. So I can make it, the smaller I get with it, the less detail it would have. But it's an adjustable font, so this design, it's going to work perfect with a design like this. So what I want to do first is take my text, and I'm going to come up here to my B, and that's going to break apart each text line. So this, princess, wears, and cleats will all be their own text font, or kind of text line. So it's just going to break them up rather than before if I selected one, it selects it all. So this just breaks it up into individual pieces. So I have this, princess, wears, and cleats, all as individual pieces now. So princess and the word cleats, it's going to be using our TW collegiate font, or Rhinestone collegiate font. So let me scroll down here a little bit. Right. So we have a couple different sizes. We're going to use the 2-inch for this design. Now, when I selected this font here, does anyone know why when I select TRW 200, it kind of disappears? Or like our font does disappear? Yeah, so a couple of us got it right. So it's, when I originally had this set up, it's all in uppercase letters. So the princess and cleats is all uppercase. Now, some of our fonts, and this one is kind of the point, it can be a little confusing. So in my font preview box, you'll see the word lower, or it's low, but it's actually spelling out the word lower. So when you see this, that means to see the font as shown in the font preview, I need to type lowercase. It doesn't have anything, if it has an uppercase, it would spell out the word upper. So when I go down to this 209, you see upper and lower. So this one actually has an uppercase and a lowercase. So it would work fine. If I change this font to princess, or selected the princess font, you see it all in uppercase. So all I have to do to be able to see this is switch it to lower, and then it types fine. So just pay attention to that font preview, and that will explain, if I need to type in either lower, upper, or if I have both. So this is kind of where it gets a little confusing, is because even though I'm typing in lowercase, it's giving me all uppercase letters. But it's just whatever the font preview says, just follow that, and then it will work without any issues. But if for some reason all your characters disappear, it's most likely because it's not, you're either typing in like all caps, and it needs to be all in lowercase to see the font. So once I have this set up with Rhinestones or Rhinestone fonts, I can't just say I want this design 7.5 inches wide and just leave it as is. With our Rhinestone fonts, we have to size them to a certain stone size. So 6s, 10, 16, 20, as high as we want to go. So what I'm going to do first is select my princess and cleats. Yeah, you can change the spacing still. So it's the same way with our text spacing. I can move apart the letters, but that's all, with the rhinestones, you have a little bit less capabilities of like the HTV and stuff like that. But you can use the text spacing to space them apart. But we still have to size them using one of our stone sizes. So I'm going to highlight Princess and Cleats. I'm going to select SS10, hit resize, and hit yes. And this is going to size out my character. So I'm about 10 inches wide right now with the font I'm using. So once I do that, if this is going on a youth small, this design might be too big in 10s, and I might have to switch it to 6s. And when I do that, now my design is just over 7 inches wide. So if you're working with rhinestones, sometimes you might have to work with a smaller size in order to fit on different t-shirts. The good part about that is you don't have to necessarily redesign everything if it's all one size. So I can go from 7 to 10. If I use 16s, it's going to be almost 13 inches wide. So I can change the font or the stone size pretty quickly just to make this fit on different size t-shirts. Now, if you get into a design that might have 6s and 10s, now that's going to be a little bit different when you resize it. You're going to have to move, if you resize it to a larger stone, your 6s will become 10s and your 10s will become 16s. Now, once I have this set up, now I'm going to go ahead and bring my other text over and size it up to fit how I want it. So on this one, I'm going to go to adjustable. So when I click this, you can see how my fonts, the shape, kind of the path, it's going to fill with my design. And I'm going to go ahead and just group each one of these together and just center it just so I know that it's all centered. So I'm going to select this and just center it. Size it so I think it looks good. Same with my wares. Go ahead and center that. Size it so it looks good. Alright, so on this now, what I need to do with these, have you guys used the adjustable fonts before? Alright, so it looks like most of us haven't. So these work a little bit different, but they're nice because, again, now this gives me control over it. Okay, if I want this at 5 inches, I can set it up. If I need this at 12 inches, I can set it up that way too. Now, all you have to do is get it to the size I want. And then I'm going to come to my Place and Fill tab, and I'm going to select Path Fill. So right away, you can see that I have a lot of overlapping stones throughout my design, and that's okay. Because what we're going to do at this point is highlight my design. I'm just going to move it up right now. I'm going to hit Clear Pass, and then I'm going to mark my the bottom stones that are overlapping red. So you're going to see a lot of red through my design now. So it has all those red stones selected. So if I kind of hover over this middle X, it's going to be in the kind of middle area of my design. I can select everything, pull it over. This red area I'm going to delete. And now I have my finished font here. So there might be a couple spaces we need to edit real quick. So I'm going to bring this here, just to the edge. And then I'm going to select this path of stones. Simply click respace, and that's going to fix that there. If I want to make my S look a little bit different, I can maybe pull that down a bit, maybe have the I going into the S a little bit more. I can manually move the I closer to the H as well if needed. And we'll pull this over as well. And let's go ahead, move this one here, this one here. And then I'm just going to select, hold shift, select the stones in this row, respace, add one stone. You can, someone asked why I selected the bottom overlap instead of the top. Usually that works a little bit better with these type of fonts, just from experience. But I'll do the opposite on wares, and you'll see that most of the time they are pretty similar. But you know, I did this design earlier, and I just knew the bottom worked a little bit better. But I'll show you the difference on the next one. So I'm just going to hold shift and select a few stones in this row, respace, now that's caught up, and then same thing here. I'm just moving these stones a little bit closer to that path, and then just simply selecting a few in that line, respace, and then that cleans all that up for me. Alright, so same thing with wares now. Path fill. So this time I'll do the opposite. I'm going to clear path, mark the top red. So when I pull this over, now my top is red, and now my bottom is clean like this. So again, there's not too much of a difference when I pull the top or bottom, but here I'll just have to edit a few little areas, and then my design is most likely good to go. And we can always move characters closer if we think it's going to make the design look a little bit better. So I'm going to move all these letters just a little bit closer to the W. Go ahead and group that, and we'll delete those out. So now I'm going to go ahead and center everything again. Make sure everything's grouped. So on this one, what I want to do is I do have a slight little overlap of my text here. So what I'm going to do is make sure my purple is on the front layer. I'm going to go ahead and select my design, ungroup all, and I'm going to mark my bottom. And this time I definitely want to mark my bottom, because that way it takes those stones. I want this and wares on top. So anything that these stones are touching, it will completely remove. So I can just slide that over and hit delete. Now, it might be in some of these fonts, especially like a bold one like this, a little bit extra room taken out. So if I go back, there might be like a stone or two like here and here that I could possibly move over. Or if it takes too much out of it, we can always not have such a big overlap too. So I'll let you guys decide what you think looks better. We'll do one without really an overlap, or slight overlap with the W. Mark the bottom. And that way there's a little less taken out of all the characters. So the last part, we're going to use our TRW 130, and this is going to be a super small text. It's even in the title. So this is another one that's a little bit different than some of the text. This one, sometimes you'll see a version called RF, and then you'll see the SF. The RF is when you're creating kind of design like this, and the SF version is if I want to create the entire, cut out the entire alphabet. So in this font, you actually have the SF version. If I type uppercase, that's going to be those black boxes. And then the lowercase, even though it's all upper, is going to be my RF version. So I want to type in all lowercase, and I'm going to put Mustang Soccer. Select the font. You'll see that it's all uppercase now. I'm going to use that text spacing tool. Now this is where it gets a little bit hard with the rhinestones, because when I slide this over, just because I put it here like this, if I hit the resize button now, watch how big my font gets. It's way out. So with the rhinestones, it might be a little bit of trial and error, where we just kind of slide this out just a little bit at a time, hit the respace. Okay, that's pretty good there. A little over 11 inches, so maybe just a little bit less. Respace. Okay, now we're just under 10, so that's going to be a little bit better. So I'll just center that and just slide that right down. And then we'll go ahead and switch our font colors. All right, so that's creating it. Just from Rhinestones. Essentially, it's cut ready. The only thing we'd have to do at this point is just go to our templates, separator, and it would separate our colors for us. But otherwise, it's cut ready. So any additional questions on the rhinestone design? Alrighty. Let's go back to page 1. And then our last design we have here. Yeah, Kaki, if there's any questions, just let me know. And I'll try to answer it the best I can. Alright, so here is going to be our last design here. Actually, that baseball text is there as well too. Alright, so this is, again, just created with mostly fonts. We use our baseball vector, our lace vector here. And just so you guys know, if you search baseball laces on our site, these are free. So it's just baseball vectors free that you can use throughout your design. So kind of how we did our lines here. If I wanted to make baseball laces instead of football, I could use these here if I wanted to. Alright, so making magic patterns, you're actually not going to be able to create your own like it is in the software. but I just did a webinar a week or two ago using magic patterns and the intersect tool to kind of using the intersect is going to be the best way to kind of create your patterns, or the power clip. So Kaki, I'll send you an email link for that that webinar. That way you can see it that way. Yeah, it's a little bit different than actually creating your own magic pattern, but there is a way to kind of essentially do it, but you'll use the power clip and the design wizard instead. Yep. So to separate the colors for the pirates to cut, once we design it, I'll go over getting it cut ready too. This one's actually pretty easy for the cut ready. All right. So all we're doing on this one is we're typing out our pirates text, choosing the font we want to use. So again, we'll do the sports block. And on this one, what we did was I used the B to break it apart. I'm going to select the P and the S. So I only have these two letters selected. I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm going to pull out those letters just a bit like that. And then I'm going to hold Shift and just move them right back into the line. And that gives us that look where the P and the S are a lot bigger than the rest of our characters. All right. So from there, we're going to add an envelope to our text. So I'm going to select my text pirates. I'm going to group them together. So right here in the wizard, group everything selected. And I'll move this down a bit. I'm going to go to my envelope. So that's going to be under your effects tab, envelope. If you have it open, you'll see it over here on the side. So I'm going to select my middle option here, single arc, add new, and you're going to see this blue box around my text now. So I'm going to hold Control, and I'm going to select this text and just raise it the middle just like that. And by holding Control, it's going to move my top layer too. So if I don't hold Control and I pull up this middle, it's just going to do just my bottom. So I want to hold Control, that way it raises both of the letters just like that. Okay. So from there, I'm going to go to my live template editor. I'm going to remove the check from remove shapes behind. And I'm going to select my magic boundary. Let's make this a little bit taller too. 0.1. And that's going to give me my background. Let's do a little bit more. Let's do 0.15. It's a little bit bolder. So now I have my pirates text just like that. So actually these are two layers just right on top of each other. Alright, so now we're just adding the rest of our text. So we did Braden River High School, all uppercase, sports block. Just going to size that pretty much to the outside of my design here. And then again, using my envelope, I'm going to click Add New. And I'm going to try to just raise this a bit, just so it kind of follows the same line as the rest of my design. So I might have to raise it up just a little bit more. Go ahead and bring this side down a bit here, and this side down a bit here. So that follows a lot nicer right above my pirates text. So same thing with our baseball. This time, let's go ahead and use the impact. And we're going to use the text spacing feature again. Just bring that all the way across. I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. And once I have that set up, envelope, add new. We're just going to bring that right up to the top here. And let's just turn that red so we can see it now. All right, so that's pretty much the beginning part of our design here. So that's kind of like the front of the shirt. Let's make this a little bit smaller up top here. All right. Now the back, what we did is just did the number. So we did 11. Size this up. And again, we want to just pick the font. If we want to stick with the sports block, that's good. I'm going to use my text spacing and just move these a little bit away from each other. That way, when I add the outline using my live template editor, it won't overlap my letter or my numbers. So I'm going to make one layer. Again, we'll make that second one. And then I just select my blue, hold shift, select the gray, back minus front, and then it's going to give us that nice gap right in between. So I'm going to go ahead and weld these back together. Outside red just like that. Now with our laces, I can set up my design however I want. So make these a little bit bigger, move them to the front. So I can just put them right here on my letter or my number. Just kind of going down the center like that. Or I can rotate them however I want. So if I kind of want it going through at an angle, I can do it that way too. And it's only going to capture on where the 1 is. So I'm going to group these together. And let's do a couple examples and I'll let you guys pick which one you guys like more. So we'll do our sideways one here. So we got these two. I'm going to select our laces, the silver or gray part of the 1, intersect, move my laces, just select in that area, turn those red. Let's try to get a little bit more. I'm going to angle this just a little bit more this way. Try to get a little bit more coming through. Intersect, move those, make those red, and then I could do this more the traditional. Have it going kind of more down the center. So however way we want them, once we have those set up, I can just select my laces, live template editor, remove shapes behind, probably about 0.06. You'll see how that separates that, weld it together, and now I have my two pieces. right, so let's go ahead and move this to a new page. So we're going to go ahead and get this cut ready now. So with this design here, when I have my laces, all I'm going to do again is use the magic boundary. That's going to cut everything out there. Weld all the red together. And before I do that, this is an envelope, so I'm going to just go ahead and ungroup and weld. Weld all this as well. So all my red has been welded on this page. Now, again, this is depending on what type of vinyl I'm using, because if I'm using anything with like Easy Weed or anything like that, I don't necessarily even have to. This is pretty much cut ready now because it's on its 2 layers. If I wanted to use like a glitter or something like that, that's when I would need to come through, use the magic boundary, and make sure everything's separated. So make this about 0.02 boundary, maybe a little bit more. And that's going to create a boundary just like that. And that's getting it cut ready for really any type of vinyl at that point. Alrighty, well, those are our designs for tonight. Was there any additional questions on our pirates or any of the other designs? Yeah, if for some reason, if you use this magic boundary when a text hasn't been welded and you're using a script font, it might give you a little bit of an error. Just go back, weld the font first, and then do the same process, and that should fix that problem. The white part of the pirates would just be your t-shirt color showing through. So at this point, anything behind where the white is, that's just going to be your t-shirt color. And then you could make, all the gray. You could do white and red like that on a black t-shirt. Whatever your t-shirt color would be, that's going to show through in those areas. So Becky, is there a cheat sheet that has a description on each button what the wizard does? Not necessarily a cheat sheet, but we have our video tutorial up here. So if you look on the edit tab, you'll see all these different buttons. So we have our fill between, split, knockout, magic trap, text spacing, our magic templates, all these different buttons. So if I go to the video tutorials and I go to my edit tab, you're going to still see all those buttons there. However, if I click on this now, it's going to launch a video showing you how to use that feature. So any button you're not familiar with. Now, I know some of the new magic are the magic buttons. Those aren't there yet. We're working on getting all those situated. Those were the new tools that we released. Now we do have some like downloads for cheat sheets of like quick buttons for like Corel and stuff like that too. Those you can find on our site under the FAQs and let me see real quick exactly. So under support. Yeah, so the magic buttons are on YouTube, just not linked yet. And here's all the FAQs too. So complete list of Corel Draw shortcuts and stuff like that. That you can find here. Otherwise, we do have some other little cheat sheets and stuff, but most of the video links would help the best. Well, thank you guys so much. We have a couple webinars tomorrow. So let me pull up that page real quick again. So on our home page, if you scroll down a bit, you'll see tomorrow Matt's got one at 2, and then I'll follow up with one at 8. So Matt's going to be going over some brushes and sprays. Those are going to be pretty cool if you guys haven't seen how those work yet. And then tomorrow night, I'll be going over creating more fully rhinestone designs created from like existing vectors and stuff like that. So you guys can catch both of them on sale for $7 tonight. That will definitely go up probably midday, a little bit before Matt's webinar tomorrow. So we got a busy night tomorrow, and then Wednesday we are going to Matt's got the live. So let's go to our Facebook page. So on our Facebook page, we're doing our weekly giveaway with the Silhouette Cameo. So if you scroll down a bit, you'll see that. That's going to be Wednesday night. This webinar will be posted tomorrow. Won't be edited tonight, but it will be up by tomorrow for you. Are you going to ISS? Yep, I'll be in Atlanta City this year. Can you put that on a form mock-up? I have an issue. Mock-ups. Were you just using like an order form one product? Okay, yeah, no problem. So someone has to run through just a product order form product, no problem. So we'll just select. I have my Pirates baseball. Now right now it's set up to 14 inches. So I need to realistically change that a little bit smaller for my t-shirt. And then I have my order form one product. I have the basic. Are you using the basic or the advanced feature? Basic. All right. So we're just gonna. You don't necessarily have to highlight your design now, but you're just gonna click the launch button right here. It's gonna pull up your products. Up top, it's gonna say select product 1. So let's say I do a men's t-shirt front. It's gonna ask you to select your design. So you're gonna highlight, hit OK, and then it's just gonna throw it right up on your order form just like that. And then I can control the background color and change that to whatever I like, along with my t-shirt color up here. So if that's not working for you, just give us a call or shoot us an email, Wendy, and then we can get back with you and see if when's a good time we can link up with a team viewer and just get that issue fixed for you. Is it the design that's coming in way too small? Okay. Yeah, just check on, is the size of the actual design pretty small too? Or is it like 9 or 10 inches and it's, okay. Okay. Yeah, just give us a call. Is it one you created or one that's already in our system? Okay. If you created it, when you did the mock-ups, when you did the mock-up creator, did you make your design with? Do you know what you put in as your design with? Nine? Okay. Yeah, it sounds like everything's right. So just shoot us an email, or if you even take a video of you creating it and setting it up, we can see that way too if there might have just been like one little misstep. All right. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Again, any other questions, please give us a call at 941-755-1696 or shoot us an email at info@therhinestoneworld.com. Always remember, ask for Gabe.